Hey, you guys. Welcome to day number 19. How did this happen? Day number 19 of 21 days of prayer for your business. I'm so glad you're here. 19 days. Does it feel like 19 days to you? I feel like it's just kind of flown by. We've just like snapped our fingers, or has it felt like this? Oh my word, Monique. I feel like it's been 19 days. Like you don't even understand. This has been hard. This has been hard. Maybe some of you guys, it's taken you a little bit longer than 19 days. It feels like it's more than 19 days because maybe you've had a day or two that's fallen in between that you've not done it. And that's okay. You've stuck with it. You didn't give up. You kept on day after day, and just missing a day here or there did not stop you. So yay, congratulations. You know, last night, I don't know what your experience have been like from day to day through our 19 days together. Last night for me, this morning when my alarm went off, I'll tell you, I was like, oh my goodness, you got to be kidding me. My alarm is already going off. Throughout the course, I'm filming these at a beach house here at the same beach that we came when I wrote the book, and I wanted to come down here and do the videos from where I wrote the book and just kind of be connected to where I wrote it. And I've really enjoyed the process of being out here on the water during that time. And so last night, a storm rolled in probably between 1 and 3, I would think. And the wind started whipping outside, and our door, I've got a little deck area out from my bedroom, and that door, man, when the wind gets going, it just shakes that door. And I had gone to bed earlier, but woke up to that and just could not go back to sleep. Me and Elena we're here, and Jeremiah's out of town, and I don't know if you're married, but whenever your spouse isn't there, it's just you're in a place that's not familiar to you, and I couldn't sleep, and finally fell back asleep and woke up this morning and just tired. I had a headache, and I was laying in bed thinking, man, like I just wish I could lay here. And I got to thinking about how my day and what that looked like. And then I began to think about you. And I began to think about, what does your days look like? What did your night look like the night before? Then my mind kind of goes off in little tangents. Then my mind went to a comment that I read yesterday in our Facebook group. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're watching this in live, you're in the Facebook group. But if you are watching this, who knows when down the road, via YouTube, we've got a Facebook group where we began launching these videos and doing them live together. And I love reading people's comments, and people either message me comments on YouTube or email them to me, or send them to me in a private message. And I love reading through those. And a message that I saw yesterday was from a girl who said that she did this last year. She did this 21 days of prayer. If you're new and you haven't watched the other videos, this 21 days of prayer for your business, I started doing it via social media last year, just for my friends and those who I was friends with on Facebook and Periscope and some other things. And so she had walked through it with us then. And she said on day 12, she got the diagnosis of cancer. And forgive me, there may be parts of this that I butcher the story. So I'm going to give you the gist of what I remember reading in the comment. And day 12 was a hard day for her whenever she did it this past year. And lo and behold, she finished it and went through it again this year, the 21 days. And day 12 this year brought something a little different. Her sister unexpectedly passed away. And that was her day 12. And, when it rains, it pours. Literally, in this story, she goes away to go to the funeral, or, where this had happened. And in the hotel room, from what I can understand through the comments, the sprinklers or something goes off and leaks, and like ruins her 21 days of prayer book and notebook. And you know, she's like, what in the world? What in the world? And so she's like, it's not stopping me. She goes, orders another book, and she said she ordered five more. She ordered a 5 total. And she was like, not only am I going to finish it, I'm going to give it to other people to finish. I'm not going to let it stop me. So, you know, I'm sitting here this morning thinking about my little, I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. I got a little bit of headache. But what is your hard time? We all have them. And we all have the choice, whenever those times come our way, to stick it out, to keep moving forward, or that just to be where it's the point we stop. And so I challenge you, let that lady's story be an inspiration to you, just to stick with it. Don't give up. And I'm proud of you. You are here on day 19, so that says something. That actually says a lot. That whatever came your way during this time, you stuck it out. So let's do as usual. Let's do a little bit of homework before we get started, or housekeeping before we get started. And we do this every morning when we start our time together, or whenever you're watching this YouTube video. But I like to recap. I was telling some people yesterday that I think it's really important to recap and hear things over and over and over. So I really like to begin our time together by reviewing what we've walked through. But first, today, if you have not watched any of their other videos, I beg you to go back and watch days 1 through 18. You know, a lot of these build upon each other. A lot of these just, you know, it's really good to hear this day before you lead into this day, before you lead into this day. We are going to be talking a lot about from this book here, 21 Days of Prayer for Your Business. Like I told you earlier, last year I walked through 21 days on social media with my friends. I did it on a blog and Periscope, and then shared them on YouTube, and we walked through those days together. And over this past year, I turned it into a little book format. So we're going to discuss that today. However, I really don't want that to paralyze you or to stop you if you don't have the book, or if it's just not in your budget. You know, I understand what it's like to have a tight budget and to not be able maybe to purchase or buy the things that you want to buy. So if you can't buy this book, that is completely fine. Please go grab a notebook and go grab a pen and start watching these YouTube videos from day 1, and do the homework that we talk about. Write it out in the notebook. If you have the book, I would love for you to not just read the words, but actually write in it. A lot of people are afraid to write in their books. Don't. We really designed this book to be a book/workbook. And it's one thing to read the words, and we're going to be discussing it today. One thing to read it, one thing to hear it. Let it go in one ear and out the other. And it's another thing to apply it, to really dig in and how does this apply to me. And so I encourage you, spend some time. I know some of the days I'm a little nosy and I like getting up in your business. I like asking you some hard questions, but you know, we need people to ask us hard questions. And a lot of people have said, Monique, I had no clue. Week 1, my goodness, like you about killed us in week 1 with making us dig in. And I just appreciate you guys for doing these hard things and really digging down deep emotionally and applying it to your life. So if you don't have the book, you know, grab a pen and paper. If you want the book, you can get it at shop.infuse.com, and you can get the book and this little scripture memory flip book that comes with it. So that's that. Now the drill and the routine is to go through the things that we've discussed together over the last 18, 19 days. You know, it all began with the very first day of handing over control to God. And that's hard for a lot of people maybe it's just me, we like to kind of hold on to that control. We like to do things our own way. We, feel like if we're in control, we are going to control the outcome of it. And one of the safest places we really can be is by handing control over to God and saying, here, Lord, do as you see fit. I will do what you put before me. So that was on day 1. Day 2, that day, man, we really started analyzing our past, looking at our past, and just, what was it that we've gone through? What are those hard things in our past, our mistakes, our failures, those things, our hurts, our rejections, our abandonment, those things that are kind of raw, and or maybe we've buried them deep, and we've really not understood that, whoa, that has really dictated my future, and I just don't want to go there anymore. I want to live the abundant life that Christ Jesus has set out for me, and to do that, we really have to overcome things in our past. Let me get a drink of water here. Day 3 was so important because we discovered how you were uniquely made. You are unique. You have a design, and that's specific to you, and you need to embrace it. Day 4, we talked all about getting a vision. A vision may not be this end picture that you can see, but it is one step in front of the other. Letting the Lord lead and guide you and be a lamp unto your feet and a light unto your path. That is His word. Just letting Him lead and guide us one step at a time. And that's vision. That was day number 4. Day number 5, we talked about being intentional. What are those things that are your non-negotiables? What are those things that you value? And there's really not this magic list of values. It's what's valuable to you. And your list may look different from my list and the person next to you. And that's okay. But I really believe you kind of feel off balance whenever your values, those things that are so important, are not making it into your daily life and into your business. So we talk about being intentional with those. Day 6, we talked about always growing. It's important not to be at a standstill, to think that we've arrived, to think that we really know it all, or that we've got it going on. It's important to always be growing. Sometimes when you think we need to be growing in this area or that area, we think it kind of shows that we're a little weak or we don't have it going on. And please don't fall into that trap. Always be growing. And that was day number 6. Day number 7 was vital for your success in business and life. And that was about do not give up. I'm so proud of you guys. Day 19, you haven't given up. Man, you are moving in the right direction. Apply that to really every aspect of your life. Don't give up. That was day number 7. Day number 8 is all about living a life of worship. Do you know that when you embrace your gifts and your talents, those things that the Lord gifted you with and designed you with, the blessings that you have, we can use that in worship to Him. A lot of people get hung up on success and, oh my goodness, I don't know if I get this money, or money can be bad, or no, money can be bad if you love it or you let it define you. But if you are at the point of you are using it to bless others, that's using what He gave you back in worship to Him. And that is a beautiful, beautiful thing to be walking out in your life. So we talked about that on day 8. Day 9, we start getting a little bit living a life of excellence. And that can be scary, but it doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be confused with day 10, which was perfectionism doesn't weigh you down. It shouldn't, or perfectionism weighs you down. And that type of lifestyle shouldn't weigh you down if you're just embracing living excellence. Embracing excellence. And what does that look like? I believe living a life of excellence is when you are being your unique design, embracing your gifts and talents, and using the resources and tools that you currently have on hand. And that's going to look different from here to there, from this season to that season. So that was day 9. Day 10. Day 10 is don't let perfectionism weigh you down. Am I the only one that wants to be a perfectionist? Don't let it weigh you down. It's not good. Don't get caught. You are never going to be perfect. That was day number 10. Day number 11 was be a creative problem solver. You know, look at obstacles, look at those things as opportunities. How can I figure out a way around it? Many times that is where you find big wins in life and in business and in your career, whenever you don't let an obstacle that comes your way make you fall over into a corner and whine like a baby and suck your thumb and say it's the end of the world. No, it's whenever you think, hey, game on, I'm going to figure out a solution to this problem. That was day number 11. Day number 12, this is where I kind of get a little insecure here that I'm telling you wrong. Day number 12 was building a community. Yes, day number 12 was building a community. And communities are so important. There is safety in numbers. You don't need to be this, desert, out on a desert island all by yourself. You really do need to embrace community. And if you are longing and you're feeling like you're just not finding that community, well, then you start the community. You go out there and you figure out how you can embrace others. What can you do to take that first step? That was day number 12. Day number 13, oh my goodness. Whenever we start embracing community and we start embracing others, we are imperfect individuals dealing with imperfect individuals. So what does that mean? That means a recipe for disaster, and conflict can definitely enter in. Have you ever experienced conflict? Well, if you haven't, you probably will. And that day we talked all about surviving it. We don't want it to kill you. We don't want it to stop you dead in your tracks. We want you to keep moving forward. And the good news is you can survive it. So we talk about that day. Day number 14 is fighting for your family. Fighting for your family is so important. Whenever you have a stressful business or stressful career, many times we bring it, maybe you don't, maybe I shouldn't speak for you, but I bring it into my family life and vice versa. Whenever you go through this stressful time in your family, you can bring it into your business. And so what does fighting for your family look like? I'm a very driven individual and I love to work. But at the same time, I cannot neglect my family. So what does it look like? What are ways that we can fight for our family? Day number 15 was a good one. We are talking all about integrity. And integrity matters. Those things that when nobody else is watching, not taking the shortcuts, being honest in everything we do. Integrity really does matter. And I'll also talk about that day that integrity is what are your values, and are you being true to yourself, and are you getting those values into your everyday life and into your business? I believe that's having integrity. Day number 16, we talked about being courageous. There's a point in time where we've got to get off this comfort zone couch and we've got to be courageous. We have to do those things that scare us. It may not be comfortable, but I tell you, whenever you get off the comfort zone couch and you do those things that scare you, you become courageous, you will grow. And you really begin to rely on the Lord and understand, man, I can't do this all on my own. And I really need to remember day one. Or you're reminding the Lord, do you remember what I said on day one? Because I'm being courageous right now, and this is not something I can do. And so you cannot leave me. Like, you cannot leave me. I need your help. Day number 17, be still. I read those words, and it actually just brings this overwhelming peace to me. Be still. We did a lot, days 1 through 16. But there comes a point where we just have to stop and we have to be still. I'm going to be still, Lord. And sometimes it's awkward and sometimes it's just this cricket moment and we're not used to it. But being still is trusting and knowing, Lord, I give it over to you. Lord, I can't do it on my own. I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted working in my own mind. So I'm going to be still and I'm going to hand it over to you and I'm going to trust. Part of being still is really trusting. Trusting that we have faith that He is going to work it out. Day 18, yesterday. Competition compliments you. It does. Competition doesn't have to be out to crush people. but it really can be to the benefit of you. And we talked about that, which leads today, day number 19 of our 21 days together. It is titled, Examine Your Experiences. This is huge, guys. And you know, I mean, it's funny. I think every day is huge. Like, today is the day you need to pay attention. Hey, you take extra notes today. You know, I really think that every single day. But today, examine your experiences is so important in every aspect of your life. I mean, really, you are noticing by now, again, I've mentioned it before, that these topics are not just for people in business. It's really applicable to every part of your life. Examine your experiences. You know, when we were reviewing those times just now and thinking about those days, did you think, Monique, I feel like in some of those days, you know, I took one step forward. I really did feel like I took a step in the right direction, but only the next day to take 2 steps back. You know, I felt like I handed over control to God, only the next day to just, you know, really try doing everything in my own might. I felt like on day 2, I started finding freedom from my past, only a week later to be bombarded with all of these issues, and I took 2 steps back. Is that your story? Can you think about any of these topics that related to you? Can I tell you, even in writing this book, I felt like there were so many moments that I took a step forward, that I took a step in the right direction, only 3 or 4 days later, go through something and take a couple of steps back and think, man, you're crazy, Monique, to think that you can publish this book or to get this book in the hands of others. When you talk about this freedom from your past, except a week later after writing it, you're letting your past get back in your head. I need you to know, I really began in that moment, in this process of writing, especially on this day of it, examining your experiences to really understand that 1 step forward, 2 steps back, honestly is not a failure if you can examine it. What was it? Why did I take 2 steps back? And in that moment of examining, of really analyzing what happened there, what did I do? When you can examine it, you are learning. You are actually growing. And in that moment of taking 2 steps back, hopefully it's teaching you how not to repeat it again. You know, John Maxwell, I absolutely love and adore him. I've been reading his book since 1996. His books, man, they inspire me. They encourage me to get moving in the right direction. And one of the things that I love that John Maxwell says, and I really have embraced in my life, is that experience, many times people think that experience is your best teacher. You've probably heard that. Experience is your best teacher. But John Maxwell says experience is not necessarily your best teacher. Evaluating your experiences is your best teacher. Can I tell you, that is something that we have really embraced in our life, in our business, over the past few years, but specifically the past probably 1.5 to 2 years. We've really been intentional. Remember talking about being intentional? We've really started being intentional with examining so many areas of our life, of our situations, of the things that we do. On page 140, I tell you some of the questions that we ask ourselves when we are examining our experiences. And you guys, we do this seriously all the time. I'm telling you, we implement this into everything we do. here are a few questions that I just wrote down that we like to ask ourselves as a team. We have a group of people that works with us every single day. We call him our McLean team, and Eric Hudson, I've mentioned him a lot in our time together. He's our business and finance kind of consultant manager. We have somebody who helps us with design, running a store, like all these events and these different things. And so we have a meeting once a week, and we meet every week, and we discuss things about our business and the things that we're doing. But whenever we finish a big project, a book project, writing the book, editing the book, whenever we have a big event, everything we do, even down to the smallest meeting, a phone call, anything that we do, we evaluate, we examine our experiences. And here are some of the questions that we ask ourselves. What were the results? Was it a positive experience or a negative experience? This is anything from what were the results of writing this book? Did the book get finished? Was it a positive experience? Was it a negative? What were the positives from it? What were the negatives? So why was it a positive experience? Okay, great. Well, what made it a positive? Why was it a negative? What factors played a key role in it being a positive or a negative experience? How can I continue to embrace those positive results in the future? So in writing this book, these things were the positives. So how can I embrace it? Seriously, one of the biggest positives that I can tell you in the process of writing this book was that I broke away from my everyday kind of routine of life. I loved being away, designating some time. I loved being at the beach. Negatives were I kind of pushed myself to a time frame that probably was not very realistic. So what were the positives? What were the negatives? How can I continue to embrace those in the future? So in the future, we've discussed things that we write and things that we do. I do like having a time where I break away. One of the positives was that I had a time the year before where I had kind of done the rough draft, kind of the guts of the book. So it made it very easy in writing the book, is because I'd already walked through the rough draft of it the last year in video format. Negatives, I probably don't need to push myself to the deadline. That really put a lot of strain on our team as we got down to the finished parts of this book. It was right around Christmas, which made us spend a lot of time and effort into these final things. We pushed it to the wire to get it into your hands by the beginning of the year. So we ran into some hiccups. We always know, what I learned is that it always takes longer than you probably think it's going to take. So how can I continue to embrace those in the future? What can I learn from the negative results that were experienced, and what can I do better the next go around? And this is not just in book writing. You guys, if you host a class, if you have a meeting, if you have to have that hard conversation of letting someone go who's on your, in your business, if you're a supervisor, how did that go down? How did you communicate it? Did you communicate it well? I mean, I've had some mess ups where I've not communicated things well. Let's examine that. How did I feel overall about the experience? Was it hard? Something I enjoyed? I've talked with a friend who wrote a book, and he said, I just did not enjoy the experience. I said, are you going to write another book? Well, I don't know, to be honest with you. I just did not enjoy the experience of it. So, I mean, what was it for you? When you do things, did it just, that just wasn't my cup of tea? Did it involve my skill set? Maybe I enjoy writing. I love writing. I've always loved writing. But, maybe there are some things that I do or situations I put myself in a meeting that maybe I didn't enjoy it because it didn't meet my skill set. So what is that for you? Did it line up with my passions? Maybe I don't enjoy this because it's just not something that I'm very passionate about. So examine it. Really begin to embrace the process of not just letting the experience itself be your teacher, but examining and evaluating the process. Monique, how are you bringing this concept into praying for your business? This is 21 days of prayer for your business. And so that's great, Monique. Examining your experience is fantastic. It's a business principle that we all need to embrace. But how are you bringing God into this? I'm so glad you asked. Here's the deal. This is the stage that I want you to begin to understand that bringing God into every aspect of your life is really a simple thing. We want to make bringing God into parts of our lives as really this kind of like really super spiritual out there moment. And it's really very simple of just walking it out with Him and involving Him in our process. So it looks like this. Lord, I need you to open my eyes. I need you to open my eyes to the things that I do. Lord, give me wisdom and discernment. Lord, show me things that I didn't do or that I did do or that I could do that involved that meeting that I was just in. The beauty of having a relationship with the Lord is involving Him in every single thing that we do. It's not just kind of putting Him on the shelf, bringing Him with us when we go to church on Sunday, but really, really is involving Him. That's giving Him control. Lord, open my eyes. Show me. Give me wisdom way beyond my years. It's an amazing, amazing place to be. The next thing that I say through here is that through the process of self-examination, can you please embrace the concept of giving yourself some grace and mercy? It's really kind of, a lot of us don't evaluate our experiences. We don't examine our experiences. Why? Because maybe we're going to see some things that we could have done better or that we should have done differently. And we start letting that kind of get in our head, and we think that, well, we're not perfect. Well, I'll tell you, as a team, when we begin to examine situations, I get a little defensive. I do. I get a little upset. It's hard to kind of hear, well, maybe you should have done this. Well, Monique, maybe you shouldn't have. We push deadlines. Well, and it's hard for us to examine, but it's needed. I tell in this book a story that, oh my goodness, I love to air my dirty laundry, and I hope it helps you. I hope it brings you hope that if I can find just a little bit of success in life through all of my many, 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 many issues in life, hopefully you realize that you can too. I have friends, my friend Vanessa, she'll say, Monique, my gosh, I really feel like if you can do it, anybody can do it. And I'm like, I know. If people only knew. So I tell the story in the book. It's a good one. About Eric Hudson. I've told many stories about him. And early on, when he came on board with our team, to be this, financial consultant and business consultant, I had a rough first year with him on board. As I would probably say, he had a rough first year having to deal with me. So it was equally probably hard for each of us. And the first year, man, he is like, Monique, you have a lot. We got to walk through a lot together, sister. And I'll never forget, we went to this business meeting. And, oh man, we were going there to look at printers, these different companies who we were going to be partnering with to be our printer. Like, we just wanted to work with one company. We felt like if you got used to a company, you kind of got to know them and you built a relationship with them. And so as we printed books and as we did things, we wanted to build a relationship and work with those. And so in doing that, he's like, let's look at the people who we've dealt with in the past, and let's go and let's meet with them and kind of go through almost this interview process with them. Let's ask them some questions. Let's get to know them. And at the end of the day, we will evaluate it and we will see who we want to go with for all of our printing purposes and needs. And so we had dealt with a couple of people, and we had dealt with this one company, and we went there first. And as we got there, it was just the nicest young guy that showed us around and gave us a tour of the facility. And he was such a nice, sweet young guy. And he was the son of the owner of the company. And, he was talking about how he was wanting to learn the tricks of the trade, and he was really letting his dad take him under his wing and show him how the business ran. And one day, this is going to be his business. And I loved that. I loved the whole family dynamic of it. I love embracing my family into the business. So he's pulling at my heartstrings a little, you guys. Like, he's pulling at my heartstrings. And he's telling us about how he just recently got married. And, we're getting to know this guy. And he's showing us around. And we go, and at the end of the tour, we sit down in his office. And we're looking around at everything. And Eric, out of the middle of nowhere, just starts off like right there. The conversation of, before we get started, I just wanted to kind of address something with you. You guys did a print job for us a few months back, and there were some quality issues that just did not meet our standards. Well, that is normal business practice and talk and dealings for probably 99.999% of the population. But for those who kind of don't like awkward moments and don't like kind of talking about the hard things, I immediately go into complete freak out mode. I start, like, even just telling you, I get antsy in my seat right here. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is so horrible. How mean. I can't believe Eric just said this to this guy. This guy, he's trying to take over the family business, and now he feels like a complete failure. Like, oh my gosh, he is going to throw in the towel right now. I cannot believe Eric is saying it. Now Eric did not say it mean or bad or anything like that. I freak out, and I go into fix it mode. And I go, Eric, he was working on a tight time frame, and I'm throwing us under the bus. We did give it to him kind of last minute, and they were trying to get it printed really fast, and the cover of that was very dark, and so we should have understood that maybe that was probably not the proper design for the cover, and that was our fault, and they were probably trying to print them so fast that they were boxing them so fast to get them to us, and probably the ink just wasn't dried enough, and it just kind of smeared it a little. And probably it's our fault. And I am just like word vomiting all over the place. And we finish up our meeting and we get in the car. Well, I am not thinking anything about it. Like, I'm not thinking anything that I remotely acted wrong in that situation. And we get in the car, and Eric is like, okay, well, let's evaluate the experience. He said it. Okay, Monique, let's evaluate what just happened in there. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm thinking, yeah, okay, let's evaluate it. I like evaluating. And he says, so what happened? I'm like, what do you mean what happened? No, what just happened in there? I was like, well, we had a meeting. I thought it went good. He gave us a tour, and no. What just happened with you not being able to shut your mouth? He didn't really say it just like that. And I was like, well, my gosh, Eric, it was just, Monique, well, but Eric, that was going to make him, he probably felt horrible. And he was like, we weren't like, physically abusing the guy. We were just saying the print quality was not that good. And if we continue to do business down the road, here are our expectations. And I was like, well, I was just uncomfortable. And in that moment of me being uncomfortable and feeling awkward, I felt like I had to fix it. And I felt like I had to take responsibility of the problem to make him feel better. And Eric said, no. Monique, we don't do that. That's not how we do things. So next time in a meeting, if if I ask that type of question, you're going to need to zip your lip. You know what I'm saying? Like, just don't do that again. Okay. Now, it's hilarious. Can I tell you guys something that is so funny about the writings of this book and the editing process? It's hilarious. I wrote that story out in this book, and it kind of cracks me up when the way we did the book editing process of this. We were in this room, and I had a big TV up on the wall here, and we put my rough draft up on the TV. And when we got to this day, it's hilarious, you guys. As I got to this day, I was reading it out loud, and I had Eric and Natalie who sat behind me, and I couldn't look at them. And I literally read the rough draft out in my own voice with passion. I read each chapter out word for word, and they would fix the things, or we would reword things the way. And when we got to this chapter, into that story, my back is to them, and I'm reading this story, and I turn around and I said, Eric Hudson, you changed up that paragraph. I didn't write that. And he started dying laughing. He had gone in and he goes, well, you made it sound like I was being a little harsh. And he is like the nicest, like most humble, meek, like quiet, like peaceful individual. And he said, it kind of made me, I didn't say it that way. So just know that a few paragraphs in this was Eric Hudson doing a little bit of tweaking and editing to my words. But Eric was very nice in the situation. Very, very nice in the situation. But that's where he made his debut in this book. But no, all kidding aside, it was so important for me to step back and look and evaluate this experience. Later, the story goes, we ended up going and meeting with another company that we absolutely have really fallen in love with. We've got such a great relationship with them, and we love them, and we decided through those meetings that here we are, we've got this one, and we've got this company, and we're gonna end up going with this other company, not with the company of the sweet young guy who gave us a tour and was going to take over the business and all of that good stuff. We ended up not going with them. You know, the one where I word vomit and I like act a fool in there. We ended up not going with that company, and we had already made the decision. And on the flight, they're based out of Utah, and on the flight back from Utah to Birmingham, when we go to take off, an email comes across and it tags myself and Eric, and the message goes like this from that young guy. So was just wondering what you guys decided and who you wanted to go, or if we were going to move forward with the printing. And I read the email, and the very first thing that I do is I don't answer it, because I know that we're not going with him, right? Like, we are not going to go with them. We're not going to go with them. We're not going to go with him. And I just don't answer. I don't answer. And actually, it was right before we took off. It was right before we took off. And I'll never forget, Eric Hudson was sitting in the seat in front of me on the plane. And we both get the email. And he looks back at me and he said, did you see the email? And I said, yeah, I saw the email. Well, I don't answer it, right? And it was like immediately I get this response that Eric responded to it. And it just said, I'm so sorry. Thank you for your time. We decided to go with someone else. And when I saw that response, Like I almost broke out like into like hives everywhere. And I said, Eric, oh my gosh. And he goes, what? And I was like, you like, whoa, that was just so to the point. And he goes, well, I mean, how would you respond? I was like, well, I just wouldn't. Like, I wouldn't respond. And he said, you wouldn't respond? He was like, why? And I was like, well, because. Like, we'd have to tell him that I would just rather not say anything. And he goes, Monique, that's not being kind. Like, what? Okay, Monique, that's not the right thing to do. That's not the right thing to do. And he's like, this is business. So can I tell you, the very first year of our time together, I was having to do so many things that were not comfortable for me. But can I tell you, examining and evaluating every single experience, every single email, every single meeting, I began to learn so much about myself. And it wasn't just examining the experience itself, but why do you do that, Monique? Why do you answer that way? Why did you have to feel like you had to fix that situation? Monique, why did you not want to respond to that email? Because I don't want to disappoint. I don't want to disappoint. I don't want to disappoint. I don't want to. There's so many things, you guys, as we begin to dive deep down and evaluate our experiences, we begin to really grow as a person because we begin to see those things. Everything is so much deeper. For us to really, truly be successful, we've really got to begin to understand why we do and why we react, why we are the way we are. And you guys, that is why we need to involve the Lord. That is the reason why we need to say, Lord, open our eyes, show us, because we want to be all that you've made us to be. We want to make the biggest impact we can in 2017, and we can't do that if there's so much junk still so deep down in us that makes us react and do things in certain ways. So I challenge you. The next thing that I ask you to do in our time together is a lot of homework today. There really is a lot of homework today. I want you to examine. I ask you, if you've got the book, if you've got the book here, you can see we've got every single day's topic up to this point listed out for you, okay? If you don't have the book, I encourage you to grab a notebook and a pen and think about every single day's topic that we've walked through. And I want you to examine it. And I want you to think long and hard about that day. And I want you to ask yourself these questions. This is what I say. I'm just going to read it straight from the book. Think about the topics listed on the next few pages. Again, if you don't have the book, go back and look at the YouTube videos or whatever, review the days. Examine your experiences that came from your focused time of prayer and study. Was it easy for you? Did it pull up some deep hurts? What were the positives and what were the negatives? How did you apply that topic to your life? How did you grow? In what ways were your eyes opened? How did God speak to you during your focused time? Really today, you guys, and this may take a couple of days for you. Well, even when we end our 21 days together, evaluate that. Each and every day, examine those things. Talk to the Lord about it. Lord, I saw this issue keep coming up time and time again. Help me, Lord. Help me overcome that. You guys, can I tell you, just like saying no. I can't say no. I can't say no. I can't say no. I can't say no. But you begin to examine, why can't I say no? What are those things? Why can't I? Lord, now I ask you, help me. Help me to be able to say no. Help me to be able to fight through those insecurities, those things that I'm dealing with. Go to Him. Once you've examined it, once you've gone through the experience, examine it. And I'd like to take what John Maxwell says one step further. You know, he says experience isn't the best teacher, and then he says evaluated experience is the best teacher. I'd like to say taking your evaluated experiences to the Lord is ultimately the icing on the cake for you. Really, take it to Him. You can try figuring it out on your own, but when you take it to Him, it kicks it up to crazy level. You guys, I don't know your experiences. I don't know the things that you've walked through. I don't know how easy it's been or how hard it's been. But I do know that the Lord can help you each and every step of the way on this journey. Let's pray, and then we're going to go over the walkout points, okay? Lord, I love you so much. And I just thank you. There are so many people who are carving time out of their day to devote this time to you. Jesus, speak to them. Open their eyes as they evaluate this time that they've spent, as they evaluate their experiences, examine their experiences. Lord, open their eyes. Show them the things that they need to work on. Show them the things that maybe that are their strengths, the things that they are passionate about. Give them divine revelation from you, Jesus. I pray, Lord, as they begin to examine these experiences, these topics, these days, Lord, that they don't get caught up in any type of condemnation. That they don't look at it as taking 2 steps back. But honestly, Lord, as they give those step backs to you and ask for your help, that really they are taking 1,000,000 steps forward. Don't let it be a discouragement to them. Don't let them fall prey to those lies of the enemy. But Lord, may they go back to your word and the truths that you give us. May we keep on pressing on to that prize, to that goal that you have set out before us. I love you, Jesus. I love you so much. I thank you for everything you're doing in all of our lives. In your name, amen. You guys, I end our time with a verse. If you've got the book, it's on page 147, and it's Philippians 3:12 through 15. Paul says, "Not that I have already obtained this or am already perfect, but I press on to make it my own because Christ Jesus has made me his own. Brothers, I do not consider that I have made it my own, but one thing I do, forgetting what lies behind and straining forward to what lies ahead, I press on toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus. Let those of us who are mature think this way, and if in anything you think otherwise, God will reveal that also to you." My prayer, you guys, is that you just keep on keeping on, that you keep on pressing in as you walk through these days, that you examine it, you don't let mess ups get in your head, you go to him, and you allow him to help you press on to that prize that is ahead. Finally, the walkout points, and we'll end on page 148. We say, evaluate your day before you go to bed. Evaluate it. That's a great time before you go to bed to just sit back and evaluate it. Just how did it go? Do you have trouble falling asleep? Just let it go through your head. You know, what are the things? Let me evaluate. Did my values get into my day today? Don't beat yourself up, but just evaluate it. Did your values make it into your day? Were there lessons you learned? Keep a journal by your bedside to write your thoughts out as they come to your mind. Find someone who will be honest and give you constructive criticism. Talk through evaluated experiences with others and ask hard questions. We just had a group of people over here at the beach house with us in our organization, in our business team, and Natalie, before she left, I said, evaluate it. Let's evaluate it right now. Before you leave, everybody's walked out the door. Let's evaluate the experiences. How did you think it went? What are the hiccups? What are the things that you wished you would have done different? What are the things that would have made it a little bit better? What would have eased a little bit of the stress off of you? What can you do better down the road? What are things that you can continue to embrace? So find somebody. Eric Hudson, my team members, we ask ourselves those questions. Don't be defensive when others show you things you could improve or work on in your life. Welcome this advice and be thankful it is growing you into a more mature individual. Finally, memorize and meditate on Philippians 3:12 through 15. All right, you guys. That was day number 19. Day 20 tomorrow. I'm going to tell you, it's going to be my favorite. Really? I say it about everyone, but this one, it's one that it's like I don't want our time to draw to an end, but every day that we get closer to day 20, I get excited because it's what it's all about. So already tearing up. I will probably cry all through tomorrow, just to let you know. I love you guys so much. I thank you that you keep coming back day in and day out. I hope this time is as precious for you as it has been for me. So I love you guys. I hope you have a fantastic day, okay? See ya.